With a lot of the big names already off the table, Boston College adds to their transfer portal class with a real diamond in the rough.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. Thank you for joining us. Today's episode, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to look at a new transfer portal addition for the basketball team. One, you may not know much about, but I am excited about. We're going to talk about the upcoming announcement for Tommy Rupley, a local recruit, and who the finalists are and what I think is going to happen. And finally, I'm going to give it props to the current class of 2024 as they graduated on Monday. Now, let's kick this off by talking about basketball. On Monday, Boston College did in fact land, as we talked about on yesterday's episode, Southeast Louisiana guard Roger McFarlane. Now, as I said on yesterday's episode, I had no idea what Southeast Louisiana was. I didn't even know they were a D1 team. I was like, is this going to be another CJ Penna deal where we're getting a guy from like a community college? But no, they are a D1 team. They're in the Southland Conference. Good, right? Looking at his statistics, McFarlane has some real interesting attributes that I think are going to be really impactful for Boston College. Last year, he averaged 14.8 points per game and 8.6 rebounds per game. And the year before, his first at Southeast Louisiana with the Lions, he had 12.4 points and 8.2 rebounds. So what is that telling you? He can score, and this guy's a rebounder. Like 8.2 rebounders out of a guard. He's a 6'5 guard. That is an intriguing quality because you look at what else Boston College brought in. They brought in Dion Brown, another guard from UMBC, who had basically the same stat line. So you have two guards. Brown can score a little bit more, that can rebound. And if you look at how much they rebound together, they average more per game than all of Boston College's guards combined last year. So what is this giving Earl Grant? He's going to have a tougher, more physical guard play than he did last year. You're going to have guys that can get up and get the ball, get rebounds, and make things tough. Now, Boston College still has one scholarship spot remaining. They may go for a forward. They may, go for the best available player. I think they need a bigger guy, maybe a 4 here, a guy, like 6'9" or 6'10" or something like that, that can rebound. But I love the way the guards are starting to look out, because look at what you have now. McFarlane, last year he shot about 35% from 3-point range. So he's not last year, that's about what Claudell Harris shot. But the year before he shot 40%. His first year after transferring in from Dodge City Community College, which, as I said yesterday, is like the best Wild Wild West name of a community college I think I've ever heard. So he's a 40%. He can. It seemed to me like last year, from what I've read, he was put into more of the starring role and had to shoot more. So that's why his percentages went down. But he can still shoot the three. He's not like Josh Beadle, who, with a small sample size, as the kid from Clemson that transferred in, did not have the numbers that make you think that he can do it. McFarlane can. So, yeah, he played for a small school, but I look at one sample. I'll go to a sample size of 1 here, folks, because I got to be positive here, because it looks interesting when you see something like this. Last year, he played one really interesting team, and his best game came against that team. That was Auburn. Auburn was one of the best teams in the SEC. And in that game, McFarlane shot about 40%. He had 24 points and 11 rebounds. He shot 3 of 5 from 3-point range against, a team that was a tournament team. So he has played against good teams. There's not a lot of them. You look at some of the other teams, you're like, who's Longwood? Who's some of these other schools he's playing against? So I think it's fair to think there's going to be an acclimation period between the conference that he was in and going to the ACC and playing, Duke, Syracuse, things like that. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, but he's a bigger guard. So Boston College could, and I've heard people say this before, go for a four guard um, set out there. And I've heard um, our old basketball writer used to say, like, they Earl Grant might go for like a four guard lineup at some point where you go with Hand, Kelly, Brown, and McFarlane as your four. So you have those four, then you put a big with them. So you could put like Venning or Hastings with them. That's a possibility. Because then you have two guards that can rebound. You have two of those in there. You have a ball handler and Chaz Kelly, and you have a shooter and DJ Hand. So it's a possibility. It's a little unorthodox, but I mean, if that's what Earl Grant wants to do and kind of find his niche there, I'm okay with that. But the big thing now is that you're starting to fill out your bodies on this roster because after we saw 6 players leave for the transfer portal, I think everyone was going, how is this team going to even put together a roster? Who's left? What's going to happen? Well, they've got a roster now. Am I thinking that they're going to be like, a challenging ACC team? I got to see it. I can't say yes. This is not a team that on paper I look at and go, ooh, they're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough matchup. They could. I'm not going to say that they won't, but I got to see it first because there's so many variables that I don't know about yet. Like, how is DJ Hand going to develop? How is Fred Payne's knee going to be like? Because he's coming back from an injury. Where's Chaz Kelly going to be like? Is Josh Beadle better than what his statistics say? Like, there's a lot of questions about this roster, and you look at like a team like Louisville, right? Like, who was the joke of the ACC for the last 2 years. That team went out there, and they're going to be nasty next year. They're going in the right direction. So I look at some teams like that. Syracuse has done a nice job. Can this team, the way it looks, be competitive in the ACC? And I don't know. I worry that they don't. I worry that there's way too many questions. But we've seen Earl Grant coach up players before. We have, right? Like, you just look at Quentin Post, right? Quentin Post came in as a guy, and I'm going to use him as an example every time, but I can give you a bunch of them if you want them. Quentin Post averaged 2 points per game for Mississippi State, left as all ACC, and now he's in the NBA draft combine. He developed him. That's Earl Grant there doing that. Like, you got to give him credit when credit's due. Jaden Zachary came in from a community college, and look at where he left. Right now, he's playing for Clemson, but he was a very good guard. I look at Elijah Strong too. Like, he's gonna be a fun player to watch. Like, he might be my favorite player on this team next year because the guy is he's glue to the max. This guy is everything you want. But when I look at everything, I'm like, it just doesn't strike me as a team that's going to be particularly strong until I see it, until I see what they can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's preseason. Who the heck cares, right? Like, what I say before the games start versus what they do is going to be completely different, right? So I'm just saying, from my perspective, it looks like we there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. Now, in our second segment, we're going to talk about a key Massachusetts target that's making his decision on Friday. I'll tell you who that is and what I think is going to happen, and we'll get into our reactions on that in just a moment. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Don't play around with those other sites. LinkedIn's got everything you need. LinkedIn is not just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can find anywhere. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, they will be on LinkedIn. 70% of LinkedIn users aren't using other job sites. So if you're not using LinkedIn, you're missing out on the best candidates. So check out LinkedIn Job. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Sports Network. We are a rich network of insiders from all over the country, covering most of the schools that you could think of. And one player that has been on a lot of radars has been Belmont Hills, Massachusetts defensive lineman Tommy Rupley. Now, previous episodes, I've talked about how Bill O'Brien has been trying to build a fence around Massachusetts, that he really wants to keep the talented local kids in the area in at BC. I've also said that Tommy Rupley is one of two guys that I consider a must get for Boston College. There's Hardy Watts, who is at Dexter Southfield. He's an offensive tackle. Love to see him. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't call him a must get because his offer list is nuts, but would be really good in terms of building that fence around Massachusetts, because that's what Bill O'Brien said. I hate that term, but he wants to build a fence around Mass. Now, Tommy Rupley is another one. He's been on campus a whole bunch of times this spring. He is got a BC offer. He's a legacy. And on Monday, he announced that he's going to make his announcement on where he's going to commit on Friday. Now, if you can see the picture on YouTube, and come over to YouTube if you have not done so already, Rupley has 8 schools that he's deciding between. Many of them are schools that he's scheduled to visit. And that's Penn State, Northwestern, Duke, Virginia, Rutgers, Syracuse, Michigan State, and BC. Those are the schools in contention. Now, earlier this week, I had been saying on Eagle Insider, talking to the Penn State guy too, Tyler Calvaruso, we have heard Penn State and BC were the two. Those were the two schools. And if Penn State would take them, Penn State would be the leader for this one, right? Like that he loves Penn State. So that could be a factor here. Now, on Monday morning, there was a crystal ball. And if you know what a crystal ball is on 247, that's a writer predicting that a player is going to end up somewhere. So, like, I screwed up on a crystal ball a couple of weeks ago with TJ Power going to BC, but I've been around 90% for most of my career there. I usually, when I know something and I can put it up, I put it up. Sometimes I don't, because for respect to the kid, it might, ruin his moment. I don't all the time, but the Duke writer put up that Tommy Rupley is projected to Duke. I saw that and I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But, things change, things happen behind the scenes that writers don't know about. So I did some digging. That's what a good journalist does. I want to dig, see if I hear anything else. I start talking to some people, starting to hear the same thing. So it seems to me, and this is not a good news, it looks to me, if I was, and I'm not putting my crystal ball in, but I'm getting close to it, that the Blue Devils are the leaders here. And one reason I would think of looking at it is I've heard that Belmont Hills has a really good relationship with Duke. And his teammate, Samson Owanha, the other defensive end for Massachusetts, is already there and has been recruiting. If you see him on Twitter, he's recruiting for the Blue Devils nonstop. So this could be a big loss for Bill O'Brien, a local kid, a legacy, someone that I thought they were going to be leaders for. The fact that he's doing this before he even gets the official visits is not a good sign. And why you might be asking yourself, why is he doing it before he even visits these schools? Because Duke was on his list to visit. I look at it like this. A lot of times you hear coaches saying, like, you wouldn't hear the coaches, but recruits might hear coaches saying, like, we have the spot open, we're going to have official visit season, you need to commit beforehand, or it could go to one of the guys that's coming on campus. They can pressure. That's part of the deal, right? Like, you pressure, you get a guy to commit. So that's going to be tough, because there's a good chance, like, that if he commits to Duke, he's going to cancel his official visit to BC, because he was going to check out Penn State, he's going to check out Northwestern. I think he had Virginia and BC on his list too. He's going to cancel. Like, part of committing is you cancel all your official visits at this level. Sometimes the higher levels, they don't care. I mean, like, like if you have Georgia and Bama going after a guy, sometimes they're the elite blue chippers, they let them kind of do whatever they want. But I imagine with this one, they're going to say no. So that's going to be tough. Now, I'm not going to say that this recruitment is done. It could be. Sometimes they are done, but it's going to be a mountain to climb again, because I'm sure BC will stay in touch with him. I'm sure BC will continue to recruit him. You may not hear about it. That's part of the deals with these things, but it happens with every team. Every team may, with a commitment, it's just like a handshake deal, basically, right? You're going to have guys that are still out there, but this is a tough blow. And that, again, this is why I hate the fence around New England analogy, because this is the exact same thing that happened to Steve Adazio. Even though Steve Adazio in 2015 or 14 had a really good local recruiting class, all people can talk about is the one or two guys that they miss. Um, I would, if I was Bill O'Brien, I would have gone more with the phrasing of we're going to improve local recruiting, things like that. The fence thing, it just opens up your staff to looking like not getting getting bad press when they lose guys like this, because all the fans think about are the guys you lose. So there's still plenty of time left. He's not going to sign until December. We'll wait and see. But for now, it doesn't look good. This one is not in a good spot. That being said, I caution you before everyone starts jumping off the Tobin Bridge. 40 recruits are coming to BC in the next month. You're going to get most of your recruiting class in the next 35 days. By the time June 21st or whatever the last weekend is of official visit season starts, you're going to know who you're going to get. And there's 4 stars in there. There's guys with tons of offers that BC's in good spots with. I have all the big boards up on the site. If you want to know more about it, come over, check it out. You want to check it out for a month? It's $5 for the first month. Just check it out. Sorry, $10 for the first month. Just come over and see what we got. But I'm saying right now, though this might be bad news for BC, let's see what happens before we start throwing rotten eggs at Bill O'Brien, because I think there will be better news coming down the pike. But for this part, it's still tough. All right, in our final segment, I want to talk to the recent graduates. I'm going to give you guys some pieces of advice. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Wouldn't it be great if you could see all your investment and retirement accounts in one place? With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and have access to the expert analysis you need to tend your entire portfolio with confidence. Like I have my Schwab and a 401k with Fidelity, put them all in Yahoo Finance. I don't have to go digging around with my passwords. I'm terrible with my passwords, but I have them all in Yahoo Finance. I know exactly what I'm looking at, and it makes it easy for me to keep track of my investments. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. They are the #1 financial destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original and editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. So what you got to do is go get your financial news and analysis. It's all comprehensive. It's all excellent. Visit the brand behind every great investor at yahoofinance.com. They are the #1 financial destination. That's yahoofinance.com. Yet again, don't forget, yahoofinance.com. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black. We're wrapping things up here on this episode of Locked On BC here on a Tuesday. And I want to shout out the class of 2024 at Boston College. For all of you graduates out there, and I know you are out there that listen to the show every day. If you're an everydayer, if you're a subscriber to Eagle Insider, if you follow me on Twitter, you send me messages, if you're a burner account, I want to congratulate each and every one of you that graduated on Monday. Very cool that you are now part of the Boston College alumni pool. And I want to give you some advice. Here. If you're a sports fan, this is more for sports fans. If you're not a sports fan, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, but I want to shout you all out. I hope you can continue to support Boston College sports. Now that you're an alumni, if you live in the area, come back for the games. Get yourself season tickets. If you got friends, I'll tell you. When I first graduated, my wife and I got young alumni tailgating in front of what garage is that? ComAv garage. Sorry, totally blanking there. I got young alumni tailgating. It's like half off, and you're donating to the school, and it was great. It was a great spot. Grill, do all that good stuff. Get your friends together. Get to games. Get to basketball. Go check out a baseball game. They're completely free, right? Like all the things you did as a student, continue doing as an alumni. It's what gets our school strong. It keeps us going. It keeps the NIL funds going. Become a member of the Friends of the Heights if you can. Do anything you can to support this team. Like this school because you're still part of it. I'm still part of it. All of you out there that graduated from BC, we're part of a community now that can support and do things and still enjoy and love the school that we went to. So I hope that if you love your school, if you love BC and you loved going to football games and you were excited about Bill O'Brien, that you're still thinking about like, oh, I'm going to get those the gold tickets for recent alumni. I'm going to go and check out some basketball games this year. I hope you do all of that, right? And I hope you all still continue to be vocal. Like if there's things about this school that you don't like, if there's things like whether it's the pregame parties that you were planning for the spring football game that got trashed by Res Life. If there's things that are now as a graduate that you don't like, you still speak up about it because people listen to you. You may not think that they do, and sometimes Father Leahy may not hear some of the things that you have to say, but people do see what you have to say. So continue to push for your school, the school that you just graduated from, that you had such a great moment on Monday for, to continue to be excellent. Okay. It's not there yet in the athletic world, but it's getting there, and they need to continue to be pushed so that they're not left behind. You guys out there, I'm sure you feel the same way, right? Like, this is hopefully you had a great 4 years at BC. You started in that COVID thing where people couldn't communicate or do whatever, and you left, um, in a beautiful day at Alumni Stadium. Now that you're gone, you can continue to support your team to don't let Boston College become the punching bag that many other sports fans think that they are. Your support will help them elevate their programs, elevate everything going on. And one person does make a difference, okay? But thank you all. And I want, again, congratulations. I hope you had a great day. I hope it's something that will never forget. I know I will never forget being in there. And just enjoy your summer as you go into grad school or get a job, whatever you're doing. I hope it all goes well. So congratulations, class of 24 from AJ. This is a beautiful day for you all. And we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode. Again, check me out on Twitter at AJBlack247. Eagle Insider is the place to go if you want Boston College news. I hope you hit that subscribe button and become a subscriber here on YouTube for Locked On BC. We do this every single day. Only daily Boston College podcast. I haven't checked the numbers, but I think I'm up to like 900 episodes, which I feel like is something wrong with me that I've done many episodes about Boston College sports. But I love it. I love sharing it with all of you guys. And we'll come back again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.